Hello, beautiful aliens from deep in outer space. All right, hello there, thrill seekers, and that was a little piece of a song called Hello UFO Aliens that I put up on the internets about 3 years ago, I guess. And some of you have seen it a long time ago, but it's relevant to today's topic, so that's why I used it for the intro. Today, there was a hearing in the American halls of Congress. I'm not sure if it was House of Representatives or Senate. Maybe it was the Senate. I don't know. I'm not really cognizant of all these things. But it was about UFOs. And I watched a little bit of it. I did not sit and watch the whole thing, so I don't know exactly all of what was said. But, you know, I kind of got the gist of it from checking in on it every few minutes as it was going on. And I'm sure there'll be summaries up, if they're not already. They might already be up on the internet, people summarizing the important points. And that's what I'm kind of waiting for, to see what happens. But I've talked on and off on this channel about my interest in that subject, and I think it's a kind of an interesting subject. It's something I've been interested in since I was a little kid, being a big fan of science fiction and stuff. And I was writing science fiction stories when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I remember I impressed one of my teachers in 3rd grade. How old are you in 3rd grade? I don't know. I impressed my 3rd grade teacher by writing a science fiction story. It was like you were supposed to write a story based on the prompt, I heard a sound at night. And I was the only one whose story involved aliens and a spaceship from the sky and all this stuff. I don't have the story anymore, but I remember that. So I've been interested in this stuff for a long time. And I had thought at one point about doing a book on the subject of aliens and Buddhism and how a Buddhist would look at these kind of things. And I don't know, it's still on the back burner there. I still haven't written much of it, but I had the idea to do that. So these hearings are going on, and what I looked at this morning just gave me the impression that it's interesting stuff, but to me it was nothing new. Like I said, I didn't watch all of it, so it's possible there's some new stuff that got in there that I hadn't noticed yet. But what I watched, the little bits and pieces I watched this morning, didn't say anything that I hadn't already heard, some of it years ago. But it's probably, I know it's quite unusual for this kind of testimony to come out before Congress. And so a lot of people in the UFO community are expecting disclosure. This is what they call it, when the military or the government or whoever is keeping the secret information about UFOs comes forward and reveals all to the general public. And it's all open, and we know for sure that we're being visited by aliens, and that there's a crashed UFO in Hangar 18 or whatever they think is going to be revealed. Personally, I highly doubt that any kind of disclosure of that sort is forthcoming. Of course, I could be wrong, but I feel like, especially noticing over the past 3 years how governments have openly lied to us and told us complete untruths about very, very important things. And I won't, because YouTube censors you, I won't talk about what I mean specifically, but I think we all know. Seeing all how that was we were blatantly lied to about all of that stuff. The idea that the same agencies who did that are going to tell us the truth about UFOs seems far-fetched. I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't expect any sort of major changes, even though these things are being revealed and all that. But it's kind of interesting, the whole idea of where Buddhism comes in, because one of the reasons they always give for the possible secrecy around this is the feeling that if it were openly revealed that yes, we have had some sort of contact with beings intelligent beings from somewhere else, whether they're from another planet or another dimension or what have you. If this were revealed, then everybody would go crazy, and the governments don't want to reveal it. And the other thing, the military has a very strong vested interest in not revealing this, because it would mean that there is a threat out there that our military can't deal with. Now, whether the aliens themselves are actually threatening or not, it kind of is irrelevant. Even if we're given great vast assurances that these guys are friendly, we're going to know that they are also much, much more powerful than anything that we have, and we're basically at their mercy should they decide one day not to be friendly. So this would be another reason that the military would, and the governments of the world would want to keep it under wraps. But another aspect that's possibly something I can address on this channel is the religious aspect. So one of the things that's often said is, if it were revealed that there were actual aliens and we were interacting with them and for sure they existed, for absolutely certain, then it would throw our world religions into chaos, because it would either contradict the teachings of those religions, or it would put them into conflict, and there's a whole idea of the whole ancient aliens idea that the gods spoken of in religious texts, including the Bible, are actually alien beings, and that would open up all these questions and such like. And this one's interesting to me because, as far as Buddhists are concerned, now I can't say that the entire Buddhist world, that Japan and China and Burma and whatever, all these countries that are sort of under the sphere of Buddhism nominally, I can't say for sure that they wouldn't react badly, but Buddhism does have a place for this, and has had for hundreds or even thousands of years, has had teachings that would possibly make the idea that there are alien beings in contact with us not so scary of a thing, because it's right there in the scriptures. And one of the most famous examples is what I wanted to bring up today, and it's the Lotus Sutra. And I was just looking at this translation here. This just came out a couple years ago, and it's an update of an older translation, which was also called the Threefold Lotus Sutra, but now it's been updated. And I haven't read it. I read the chapter in question just now in preparation for doing this video, but this is a long book, and I can't claim to have gone all the way through it. But there is a famous chapter in which there is an alien visitation. And instead of reading you the chapter, what I want to read to you and then talk about is an article that's been up on the internet. And I saw this years ago, and I just looked it up this morning and found it again. The title of the article is A Description of an Alien Visit in the Buddhist Lotus Sutra, and it's credited to Capers Jones. Sounds like a phony name to me, but And I'll just read you what Capers Jones has to say, because reading it from the actual Lotus Sutra is difficult. But I did just now, before doing this video, look at it, and I think he's telling the truth. He is giving a certain spin on it, but what he's saying is accurate. The only thing that isn't accurate is he keeps calling the chapter in question chapter 23, and on this translation, the chapter in question is actually chapter 24. And it's called The Bodhisattva Wondrous Sound. I actually read chapter 23 and 24 this morning because I'm looking at chapter 23 and it doesn't say anything like this. But chapter 24 does. So he must be consulting it. Well, he says he's consulting an 1884 translation. So obviously it's a different translation, so sometimes these things happen. Anyway, let me tell you what he says. Chapter 23, actually 24, of the Lotus Sutra is entitled God Asvara, and as you heard, it's a Bodhisattva Wondrous Sound in this modern one, etc., etc. I will paraphrase the section that deals with the visit by an alien from another world. When the terrestrial Buddha was about to give a sermon, he darted a flash of light from a circle between his brows. This flash of light was seen on other worlds, including the one with the very long name cited in the previous paragraph, so we won't worry about the name of that world. On this other world, the resident Buddha, who also has a very long name, perceived the ray of light from Earth. One of his students also sees the ray and realized what it meant, that the Buddha on this world was about to give an important sermon. The student asks his master for permission to visit Earth and listen to the sermon of Shakyamuni Buddha, the terrestrial Buddha. Permission is granted, but the master gives the Bodhisattva wondrous sound. Let's call him that because it's easier to pronounce. Interesting cautions, and he says to the guy who's going to go visit the Earth, he says, "On coming to Earth, you must not conceive a low opinion of it. The earthly Buddha, Lord Shakyamuni, will seem small compared to you, as are his disciples. He looks different from us, and he and his followers will seem to be ugly. So do not behave rudely. The earth itself has parts that are ugly, like sewers, so do not form a low opinion of it." At this point, the Bodhisattva wondrous sound enters a deep meditation and then appears psychically on earth before Shakyamuni and his students. One of his earthly students, Manjushri, one of Shakyamuni's students, asks about this mental appearance. Shakyamuni replies that he is a visitor that the visitor is a student from another world. Manjushri asks if he can learn the same kind of meditation used to travel between other worlds, etc., etc. And he also asks if the Bodhisattva wondrous sound can come in person. The Bodhisattva wondrous sound agrees and comes to earth in physical form, quote, accompanied by the noise of hundreds of thousands of musical instruments. He arrived by moving through the sky on a large tower, and his appearance was described as follows. His face showed eyes resembling blue lotuses. His body was gold-colored and sparkled with luster. And so on and so on. And then this Bodhisattva and the Buddha have a conversation. But the author of this article says, it's easy to dismiss this account as fiction, but it does contain 7 interesting aspects. So let's read them. The existence of many other inhabited worlds is casually accepted, and that is true in a lot of Buddhist sutras. The idea that other planets, they don't really get into the idea of planets as such as, little bodies of dirt circling stars, but there is this idea that there are multiple other worlds like the Earth in some ways throughout the universe, and that there are patches of dark between them, which is space, of course. I mean, that's the way we would read it these days, and that this is just a thing. That it's just a thing. Everybody knows that there's other planets with life on them. Number 2, both psychic and physical travel between worlds is casually accepted. Number 3, forms of communication other than words are casually accepted. 4, visiting aliens can apparently assume human shape if desired. 5, a surprising alien motive for visiting Earth is to learn and share knowledge. 6, human beings and the Earth are described as being ugly to the aliens. And 7, at least some of the aliens visiting Earth are cautioned not to be rude. And the author says, the concept of interstellar travel is surprisingly matter-of-fact. It is stated explicitly in the chapter that extraterrestrials can travel between worlds and that visits to Earth are not uncommon. And so on and so forth. And there's a lot more to the article. If I can find it, I always give this caveat. If I can find it again, I will give a link below. And if you can't, if there's no link, it means I couldn't find it. But the title is, again, a description of an alien visit in the Buddhist Lotus Sutra by Capers Jones. So that's what to look up if you want to go look up the article. And it's quite interesting. So Buddhists, if they know their scriptures well, which is not a given, would not be surprised at the existence or even the appearance of aliens. Now, what do I think of this? I don't know. I always take it with a grain of salt. I mean, like everybody who's been sort of educated these days, I'm reasonably certain that there is life on other planets somewhere, and that there must be something similar, roughly, vaguely similar to us, as an intelligent sort of tool-using, communicating sort of creatures on other planets. I think that's probably true. The Buddhist scriptures in various points give detailed descriptions of what some of these other planets are like, and they're kind of fascinating. You know, it's like, did somebody just dream this up and just kind of make up a story, or do they have some sort of knowledge about it? I don't know. I don't know. But the idea also is that there are Buddhas on other planets, and that they might have teachings which are unique. So even though there are different planets and different species, their different Buddhas would be expressing things that would be of interest to us, and that our Buddha would be expressing things that would be of interest to them, which is kind of a neat idea. So it could be possible. Hey, maybe aliens are reading my books. I don't know. Or watching these videos. Hello, aliens. But I don't know that I would be interesting. But anyway, so that's there. So, it could be. But I just thought I'd do this video because it's a sort of an interesting topic to me, and this stuff is right now big in the news, so maybe some people will watch the video if I do a video on this subject. I'm not above doing that sometimes, but it's just I thought it's an interesting topic, and it's kind of open-ended to me. I don't know what's out there, or whether they've been in contact with us, and I certainly don't have any personal experience of it. So I just don't know, and it's kind of interesting to see what's going on. So there's your video about aliens. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to contribute to what I do, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you can find my PayPal and Patreon accounts. That's my main and usually only way of making a living, so I appreciate your support, but you don't got to support me if you don't want to support me. And as I've been saying, I have a bunch of gigs coming up very soon, next month, in Europe, starting with a trip to England, and then to Finland, and then to Germany. And here are all the dates on the screen. You can see them right now before your very eyes. And there are clickable links now to all of them, except for the Bozeman, Montana one in November, which I haven't got a link to yet. So you can go to hardcorezen.info/events and find links you can click on if you want to specifically ask those places about their policy for attending. As far as I know, everybody is still open to accepting more attendance. The only one you might have to do a little bit of talking to is Benedictus Hof. I think their joining up the thingy is officially closed now, but I've heard from people who've gone there signing up at the last minute. So just see if you can do it. All right, that's it for me. See you next time. Have a good time all the time. Don't talk to strangers. Hey, Ziggy. Did FICO kick you out of your bed? Because I noticed that FICO is in your bed today. See? FICO's here visiting with us while his people are away on vacation. Took Ziggy's bed. Alright. I hope you get your bed back eventually, Ziggy. We'll see you later. Bye.